Hi, I'm Steve from Nearly Wild, and here today with
Jim from Nature's Work.
brilliant Nature's Work. So, Jim, tell me a bit more about what Nature's Work's all about.
Nature's Work is something I set up about 10 years ago, and it provides training in the environment for people who are really keen to learn more, to develop their skills. And I've worked a lot, mainly with outdoor instructors who are constantly leading groups out in the mountains. I want to have new techniques, new ideas for how to get information across to their clients, to fill in their own knowledge gaps. And there's a great wealth of knowledge out there, but what people often say is that it fills in all the gaps that they've got between the geology and the flowers and the rocks and the animals, and it's trying to bring all things together. So I've developed a whole way of facilitative teaching really in the outdoors, so a whole load of ideas and activities that I've developed just to help engage people with the natural world, but also to make it fun.
So it's interesting, you're working with people who are working in outdoor pursuits. I think maybe people think because people are working in outdoor pursuits, they know all about sort of ecology and everything else, but it sounds like you know what you're doing is actually helping them learn that side of things.
And there seems to be a need. So I run so many courses per year, and people are really keen to learn more, to develop their knowledge. It's something they may have learned many years ago, and they just want to get back in touch with it. So it's and the essence for me is being able to share that knowledge and enthuse people, and to it's making the links between the natural world and people, and I think that's really what Nature's Work is all about. It's about making the connections again, but doing it in a way which is enjoyable and fun, and it's not competitive. It's not I can go into scientific levels if they want it, but to be honest, they just want layman terms. They just want to know what things are and why they do what they do. Really, to find that there's a need for it as well is really it's just been fantastic.
It's brilliant, excellent. So it's interesting, Jim, this whole sort of interface between outdoor pursuits and people going out and learning from those outdoor pursuits instructors, and then there's a kind of second level that you're almost doing, teaching the outdoor pursuits instructors about the natural world and the wildlife and so on. So they're presumably then passing that on, and there's this sort of development of much greater awareness.
Yeah, for years I was teaching field studies, so I used to teach science and ecology and geography with the Field Studies Council, and that's really where I cut my teeth really in the outdoor teaching. And I was, over years I used to teach groups and groups and groups, but now I focus more on training the instructors who can then teach groups and their groups and their groups. So it's, as you said, it's gone up a level, and it's a way of spreading the kind of, in many ways it's spreading the knowledge, spreading the learning, spreading the way of trying to enthuse people about the natural world. And in a way, a bit of a cliche term, but demystifying all these little flowers and these plants. And there seems to be people are a bit afraid to learn because they think it's all hidden in science and scientific terms and Latin, and actually people that come to the course just they find it fascinating just to learning things without having all those big technical terms, and put in proper just kind of layman terms, but then learning about the plants and how maybe they've been used or what they're currently used for and what you can do with it. So some are medicinal, some are culinary, some are poisonous, but some have a use which is a long forgotten use. But to bring those kind of that knowledge back into people's kind of awareness and sphere just helps to engage them with the natural world. And I often find it's those little stories, those little hooks which people then have their interest re-sparked in the natural world, and I think that's the essence of what I do. It's trying to make the connection between us and the natural world more inspiring and less intimidating.
That's interesting, because there's this huge growth in people's interest in bushcraft and getting back to nature, and that relationship between nature and people's own well-being, and there seems to be a lot of almost searching back into to how things used to be done, and it seems like you've obviously got a lot of knowledge about that sort of thing. Is there a connection between what you're doing and this kind of bushcraft and well-being and all that, or do you see it much more about helping people when they're involved in an outdoor pursuit or whatever?
Well, there's a lot of studies that have been done to look at the wellness of and the health, the health of being connected with the natural world and just spending time in the natural world. So by enthusing and kind of enjoying and I've had people that who are mountaineers who have never noticed all the little flowers beneath their feet, who then write back saying, I'm now in danger of kind of falling off because I'm starting noticing all these things that, whereas before it was just something that they took for granted. Now they're starting to get that another level of interest, and they're actually more caring about the natural world. But, I think just being in the outdoors and spending time in the mountains or, in a valley with nature and just to be submersed in it is really one that's fulfilling for the soul, but it's the connect that I think it seems like society is going more and further away from that with more an urban life. So yeah, I think things like bushcraft are fantastic. It's really interesting. Young people getting really involved, families getting involved with bushcraft and learning about flowers and learning about the uses of certain trees and how some are used to make you can whittle with certain woods, and other woods are really good for lighting fires, and some are really bad for lighting fires. But there's something to be learned about everything, and I think it's the things that you learn, the stories that you learn, help to spark an interest. And that's really where I am. It's sparking an interest with people, and for other people, it's developing that knowledge so that they can then take it to another level. But
and I know that you've been also helping start to produce resources as well for people to use to help take them through those sort of stories and understand more about the plants, not just, this plant's called mossy saxifrage, but this is what it actually did and this is how it can be used. And so what got you into producing resources?
I've used resources through the way I teach my courses, and a lot of people have asked me over the years, where can I buy these from? Can you produce them? Right. And it's like, not as yet, but at some point. So I've just been, it's then how do you make it into a format that is sellable? And so I've come up with the idea of a set of cards, flashcards you can call them. I've made sets of trump cards and playing cards, which are education.
Sorry, we've got a few here. I've just put them all over the floor, but here you go. Few playing cards with all sorts of useful, interesting information. So yeah, sorry, Jim. I'll pick the ones up off the floor later on. I'll have a cup of tea.
That's a new game, I think. You've just developed.
Do you think that's
okay.
It's
like sticks.
I'll have tea to keep me quiet while he carries on talking.
But no, the idea is that each card has something, or each flower has a unique fact.
Right.
It's people might not realise that. There's medicinal use or a herbal use or culinary use, or it's a poison, or it's something, or the fact that the name has come from a certain feature that the flower's got, or it was considered to be, it looked like a certain part of the body, so therefore it would be used to treat that part of the body, and that's really where a lot of our plant names have come from. So there's an instant connection with old plant lore, but the cards are designed to be just used as a set of playing cards. So you're in a hut at night, or there's a whole host of ways that you can use them. They're habitat based, so there's 4 habitats and a set of playing cards. There's games you can play with groups just to go and get a suite of this, a flush of that, or get one of each of these, and so there's a whole way that they can be used educationally and not in the formal sense of, or not in, just as a set of playing cards. But you can, it's personally, the educational value of them is really the important thing. It's how you can get people to be engaged with the natural world, but in a fun way. I think it's got to be.
It's interesting you say that, Jim, because I've actually been out in the field with you, and one of the things that always comes across is your enthusiasm. and making it enjoyable, making it exciting, making it interesting. And I think that, you know, to some extent, what you've managed to achieve with something like the playing card is to give people a fun way of effectively looking up a plant, looking up something about it. And some people quite enjoy going into a book or whatever, but a lot of people find that quite intimidating. And when they're out in the field with you, they can have a bit of a chat about it. You're not there all the time, and so in a way, that enthusiasm can be passed on through another mechanism.
And that's another reason why I've developed the cards. It's because I can't always be in front of people, and there's going to be, you know, I can reach a greater audience, and I can share that knowledge and enthusiasm. You're right, people. If you took a card, for instance, here, and you have to find that card, you have to find that card, and so on. You're not giving a person a big book to carry with them, which is quite overwhelming. It's like, where do you start? With each of these cards, it's just, right, I can go and find that. I've got to find this, and then once I find it, I can tell people a little bit about it. I think that's the education thing, is once you engage someone with their own learning, then there's a much greater desire for them to actually look for that thing or to remember that fact, and then whenever they see that flower again, they may always remember that fact, and it might stimulate them to learn about something else. So it's like drip feeding, having a little thing like that. And that's, a book can be overwhelming, where do you start? But with a card, it's just go and find that flower.
Interesting. But having said that, Jim,
I
think you are writing a book, aren't you? So tell us, come on, what's the book
a big
about?
segue.
Just see the way we just played that. No, go on.
It's a book that I've been working on for a long time with a colleague who's Paul Gannon, who's a writer of geological books.
Right.
So he's a journalist, and he's got a real passion for geological education, really. So it's written for the layman. It's on the Alps. It's called The Alps: A Natural Companion. So it's got a section on the geological formation of the Alps and the Alpine chain. It's got 300 or so identification of 300 species of flowers, alpine flowers, and about their ecology, which is really fascinating. The life above the tree line. You know, there's this phenomenon around the world where the tree line stops, and only above that you can find these small flowers, and they're perfectly adapted to living above the tree line, where it's cold, it's a harsh environment, but they're generally quite low, and their growth forms are really fascinating, and how they've adapted and evolved really as to survive in those environments. And there's also a series of 20 walks. So if you've never been to the Alps and you're really keen to, you know, look at some of these floral areas or geological areas, then there's from all over, from Austria right through to France. There's a whole series of walks, from day walks to afternoon strolls to 4-day or 10-day walks that you can do. So there's a whole variety of things just to stimulate an interest, but also to be used as like a field guide for flowers.
Interesting. When's that coming out?
It'll be the end of November 2019. It's coming out in a few months.
Not too far
closing
away.
stages.
Not too far away. Brilliant. Well, I look forward to seeing a lot more of this stuff, Jim. And really appreciate the interview. Good to catch you. And I know you're a busy man. We did manage to squeeze in a cup of tea, as you see. There's obviously at the end of the video, the usual, at the bottom, there'll be a lot more information, links to some of the things that Jim's been producing, how to find out about the packs, the book, and obviously his social media and other things. Jim and I have also been having a little bit of a chat, and we're hoping to do a few more things together in the near future. So watch this space. Hopefully a little bit more information coming your way. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks very much. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. If you liked it, subscribe. If you didn't like it, leave a reason in the comments as to why.